The Great Depression and the New Deal. For most people, the 1920s would have been a perfect decade had it not been for 1929. At the beginning of 1929, prices of stocks and bonds soared to new heights. Eager investors bought stocks on the New York Stock Exchange, which is often called Wall Street because that is the name of the street where the exchange is located. A few economists warned that the stocks were simply not worth their price tags, but most people paid little heed. In the fall of 1929, some investors grew uneasy and started selling their stocks. This made other investors panic, and soon everyone was trying to sell their stocks. The stock prices dropped lower and lower. Banks across the country had invested their customers' money in the stock market. One by one, they lost the money they had invested and were forced to close. Nearly 1,500 banks closed in 1930. Factories needed the banks just as much as people did. When the banks started closing, many factories were forced to shut their doors. The workers lost their jobs. They had no money to buy goods with, and soon many stores were forced to close. The Great Depression got worse and worse. Herbert Hoover had been elected President of the United States in 1928. He was an intelligent man and wanted very much to help the unemployed workers. He thought the federal government should help state and local governments set up their own programs to help the unemployed. Hoover did not want the federal government to interfere with the rights of the state and local governments, nor did he want it to compete with private business. But he gradually realized that strong action was needed. Congress passed laws establishing new agencies to provide loans to businesses and put people to work on public projects. But the Great Depression refused to go away. More and more people waited in lines for free food and meals at the soup kitchens set up by charitable groups. In every city, homeless people built shacks out of old crates and cardboard. Many accused President Hoover of doing too little to help end the Depression. They called their shack communities Hoovervilles. People slept on park benches at night and covered themselves with Hoover blankets made up of old newspaper. A drought struck the Midwest. The hot sun burned out the crops, and thousands of farmers went bankrupt. The banks sold the farms at auction. A sad procession of farm families packed up their few belongings and started west. They hoped to find jobs picking fruit and vegetables in the fertile valleys of California. People could not understand how American business could go from boom to bust in so short a time. They lost faith in the capitalist system of business that had built the United States, and some began to lose faith in the democratic system of government. In 1932, Americans prepared to elect a new president. The Republican Party nominated President Hoover for a second term. The Democratic Party nominated the governor of New York, Franklin D. Roosevelt, who pledged a New Deal for the American people. Roosevelt knew that ending the Great Depression would take a great effort, but he had faced great problems before. In 1921, he had been struck with polio, a disease that left him unable to use his legs. Roosevelt was a wealthy man, and it would have been easy for him to give up his career in politics and retire to his comfortable home. But Roosevelt was no quitter. He worked harder than ever before. 11 years later, in 1932, he was elected President of the United States. As soon as he took the oath of office, President Roosevelt set to work on his plan of action, which he called the New Deal. He got Congress to start new programs and find new ways to put people back to work. Soon there were many new government agencies to fight the Depression and new laws to help farms and businesses start operating again. A new organization called the Works Progress Administration, or WPA, created jobs for more than 2 million workers. WPA workers built many new schools, hospitals, roads, bridges, and parks. An organization called the Civilian Conservation Corps, or CCC, put young men to work planting trees and rebuilding national parks and forests. The CCC planted more than 200 million trees. Many of the forests we have today were improved by this program. The Tennessee Valley Authority, or TVA, built dams and power plants on the Tennessee River. It helped farms and factories in a number of southern states by providing them with inexpensive electrical power and a steady supply of water. Franklin D. Roosevelt made good use of radio to tell the American people what the New Deal was trying to do. His talks were called fireside chats. Roosevelt told the millions of families who listened that the only thing they had to fear was fear itself. Americans had to put faith in each other. If they did, they could work their way out of the Great Depression, and the United States would be stronger and better than ever. In 1936, Franklin D. Roosevelt was re-elected in a landslide victory. The American people showed they had faith in FDR and the New Deal. The Great Depression lingered on, but the American people were now united in their effort to fight it and filled with a new hope.